Anna was born in an ordinary family and was the happiest child in the world. All the girls' childhood passed in the village. Earlier, the villages were not like that at all, like now. Each such village had many children, for which we did not have to look at all. They gathered in small groups and played. Parents always know where their children are. Anna was the best friend of Color, in the yard which had an old barn. Sarah and the girl made her own dwelling, furnishing their shack to your liking. Now they had a so-called hut. In this hut gathered all the children of the village. They played mother's daughter there. Already from early childhood Anna had a husband, of course not really family, and Anna was the most common. Mother was a school teacher, Dad was engaged in woods, sold it to the city. Case was quite profitable, and the family by the standards of the village lived very rich. Anna constantly flaunted in beautiful dresses. Local girls are often jealous, because she was one of the first to have lipstick. Mother often updated cosmetics, and the girls gave the old one to the paint cook. Instead, this in your hut Anna painted lips. I fashioned what in front of the girls. The girls looked at her in amazement. Anna always liked it, when others envied her. Mother tried several times to wean the girl from this bad habit. However, leaving the house, the girl forgot everything, what her mother said to her. Mrs. Pat fell from other mothers for the behavior of her daughter. One day something happened in the shop. Saffiano tells his daughter, "It's not good to brag. Yesterday I brought on red lipstick, now Kate asks for the same. Most do not understand what to paint lips, it's not very pretty." Mrs. Pat pursed her lips a little, who was wearing new lipstick. "Beloved, I will talk to her. I think that it's useless. How many since I already said, so that she only paints dolls with lipsticks, themselves. Be good, let's talk about us. Money no on lipstick, and yours is teasing." Mrs. Pat looked again at Love, and then went home, didn't even buy it. Why did you go to the store? To her it was very annoying. What am I? Daughter behaves like this with children. Going home, she caught up with the lessons. Girl pretended to learn literature. "Anna, I'm tired of listening to other moms. Somehow behaving badly around your circle of friends." "Mother, what did you do again? You bragging about new lipstick? Yes, she's not new at all. You to me yesterday and gave." "Daughter, not everyone can afford a new lipstick. It is forbidden to brag and hurt others. We live well." A look at Kate's parents. Love educates and one. Where is their dad? He died. Despite Anna being only 8 years old, she already knew the word. Died. Not so long ago, their grandmother died, whom Anna loved very much. "Ma'am, I will no longer, I promise." "You promise me." Mother went to the kitchen to prepare dinner, because soon the father will arrive. Anna continued to study. Approximately half an hour later she heard, as a heavy car pulled up at home. This was her father. "Dad, hooray! I have arrived!" Fled Anna to father. "Daughter, how I miss you!" Father always leaves very early, when those right now press the floor, too late. Sometimes they didn't see each other for 3 days. "Anna, I miss my father very much, and every time I tried to wait for him. However, sleep quickly took her. Ran so much for one, that there was almost no strength left. Today she waited for Father Michael. I especially arrived early, because my beloved daughter was very bored. Man did not come empty-handed. For a large polar bear stuck out on his back. Dad, hiding something there, this you, my darlings." Man handed a big bear to his daughter. Girl grabbed him like that, as if waiting for him the most. "Daddy, I've been dreaming of this for a long time." Saw. I looked at her husband and envied herself. Working man, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, does everything for the family. She met him quite by accident. Mrs. Pat went to see a friend in the city. This man was a friend's neighbor, and filmed an apartment there. Per irony of fate, exactly on that day, when Sophia visited her, a friend's faucet leaked. Girlfriend Yuri noticed a long time ago, and this man. She wanted to invite him to fix the faucet, meanwhile get to know him. However, a man fell in love not at all with Julia, but with her friend Sophia. Julia was then very offended, but over time, the resentment subsided. Relations have evolved so rapidly that 6 months later they got married. The couple did not have children. The whole 5 years they lived in expectation of a child. Lived first in the city, where did you rent a house, and then moved to a house in the village, who got Mrs. Pat from her parents. Michael liked it very much. He quickly found a job. At first worked at the sawmill, and then decided to work for himself. Mrs. Pat looked at her husband and could not help smiling. He loved his daughter so much. He often hinted that it's time to have a second child and Mrs. Pat is not yet ready. All the villagers thought that this family was the strongest. However, everything changed in one moment. Anna was at school then, Michael then just came from the forest. Mrs. Pat cooked borscht and cleaned the kitchen at the same time. Mrs. Pat, we need to talk to you. He speaks, I'm all ears. You take a break for a minute. But finished everything. He speaks, woman put the rag in the sink. Sorry, please. I'm leaving you. This is some kind of joke. I fell in love with another girl, sadly said men. I lowered my eyes. I for a long time. And I fell in love. Not knowing what to say to you. Understand, you and I are completely different people. She suits me perfectly. All that time I considered myself a worthless person, because I couldn't confess. You now said, and even the soul became easier. Michael, tell, what's this joke? I'm sorry. The man came out of the kitchen, went to pack my bags. He wanted to go faster than Anna turned out. Because he didn't want to meet her, he gave Mom the opportunity to talk about the already packed suitcases. The man reappeared in the kitchen. Mrs. Pat, I left money in the bedroom for you for the first time. Please, I'm sorry if you can, but I can't live with you, but to love a friend, and at least, it's not fair to both of you. Overgrow me with a child that's honest. You at least thought, Anna, how will she take it? But tell her that I went on a long business trip. Now I know what to say. I feel like a fool. Sorry, but it will be better. Man ran out of the house and sat down. A truck a few minutes later drove from the yard. Mrs. Pat standing in the kitchen, quietly crying. The soul was a hell of a pain. She couldn't even imagine what my daughter would say when she asked about her father. I in 1 minute whole life and I broke off. Now it was unclear how next. Emotions were on edge. On the one hand, she loved Michael very much, on the other hand, I hated. It seemed would, everything was so good, however, he loved another woman, and for a long time. Remembering these words, Mrs. Pat burst into tears with renewed vigor. She turned off the not-ready borscht and went to the bedroom. There was a small envelope on the shelf next to the bed, in which there was money and a note of Michael's new address, and signed below, this on a case-by-case basis, when my daughter grows up and wants to, but also communicate. Not for long thinking, Mrs. Pat took the note up and threw it in the trash. I will never let her deal with such a monster. How are you? Said the woman, throwing out the note. She wiped away tears, went to the kitchen, to cook dinner for myself. Mrs. Pat decided, what Michael never again in their lives, nothing to remind him, they urgently need to move to live in the city. Woman decided to talk about it with my daughter, as soon as she came. Anna did not keep you waiting. Girl came home at exactly 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Straight away from the threshold the girl noticed that Mom has a tear-stained face. Mummy, what happened, daughter? And you and I are moving to the city. A dad. Dad, because? A dad is gone, and the number quietly said to Mrs. Pat. I couldn't think of anything else and I had to say something that will no longer give hope to the girls to see him again. The little girl's eyes filled with tears. She didn't even ask what's happened. Anna saw what to eat now. Mom is very hard. So a lot has changed since then. Literally in a few days Mrs. Pat Tackle rented an apartment in the city with that money, which Dad left them. Mrs. Pat, it was very hard without a husband. She got a job as a teacher. Girl went to the same school. Life started differently, not as funny as before. I in the new school had so many friends on the wall like in a village. Mrs. Pat just went to work. She acts like a robot. Morning work, housework in the evening, sleep at night. It went on like this day after day. Anna saw how hard it is for Mom. She wanted to ask a few times, why don't they go to their father's grave? Himself, she remembers her childhood, how they visited their grandmother's grave every holiday. To her it was very interesting to know this answer from my mother. However, because of that, Mom was always sad, Anna never decided. Girl, I was afraid to remind my mother that once she was happy with Michael. Now they live not so rich, like before. Family barely making ends meet. Anna stopped fashion a little in front of friends. Before they were not. A lot has changed since then. One day Anna stayed with my mother, who was looking at an old photo album. There were pictures with me. Wedding. Woman carefully stroked the image of Michael with a finger. Mommy, and you miss Dad, of course, I miss you. As to why we never visited him at his grave, daughter, I don't want to remind myself that once we were happy with him, and now he's gone. I understand you, Mom. When you become big, the same goes to his grave, Sophia promised. The girl went to bed, and Mrs. Pat left alone with the photo album. I expected this question from my daughter, and the answer was invented a long time ago. So stupid, but still he was. Woman turned the page of my photo album. On the other side was a photo of little Anna. She was so small, very similar to Michael. Now she is completely different, looks more like Mrs. Pat. Woman, I sat with this album for a very long time and did not even notice, fell asleep on the couch. Gradually Anna began to forget her father. Questions disappeared completely. Mrs. Pat, it got a little easier. By 3 years Mrs. Pat finally fell in love. Choice fell on one of the teachers who worked with her. With time Wayne moved to live with them. Him, like Sophie, did not have a home. They filmed together apartment. Anna gradually grew and became beautiful young woman. Having finished school, she went to college. Young woman dreamed of becoming a lawyer. She managed to get into law school, received a budget. Now, she studied at the university, and in the evenings worked in a nightclub. There she was washing glasses, and sometimes floors, when one of the cleaners didn't come to work. Anna took a job and saved up money. Initially she got a job to help Mom and Dad. However, they didn't take her money. So it already happened. What will she earn? It remains only for her. Thanks to this job, the girl could buy herself the necessary things. Certainly, her parents gave her money, but they weren't enough. Young woman, I always tried to look pretty, buy myself good clothes and expensive cosmetics. All the guys from the course looked only at her. Anna grew up to be a real beauty. Many of the girls didn't like her. How many men did not pay attention to her, she didn't care about them. Young woman waiting for some prince on a white horse. One day he really showed up. Anna returning home from university. Road was very slippery, the girl walked very slowly. Anna always tried to look at all 100 points. Great ice is no exception. Today she walked in high heels, moving legs slowly. Suddenly a car stopped for her. The guy got out of the car, very cute. Young woman, let me drive you. Thank you, I myself will walk very slowly and go at such a speed. Get home in 3 hours. I'm not in a hurry. Unable to finish these words, the girl slipped and fell right on the soft spot. Boy quickly ran up to her, tried to pick her up, but he could not keep his balance, and after a couple of seconds he was also lying next to. Young people have nothing left, how to laugh out loud. Passing people looked at them very strangely. But now we find ourselves in a strange situation. We must agree, for me to take you. Left, just get up. Anna laughed again. Failing several attempts to become a balance, they got up anyway. Anna got into the car with the guy. Let's get acquainted, exclaimed the guy. My name is Anna, my name is Max. To me seems, what's in the name Anna Max has something in common. Well, don't know, I didn't think about it. And maybe a few letters. Anna laughed again. By 15 minutes they were near the house. Where did Anna live? Young woman slowly got out of the car. Max hurried after her. I decided to walk to the very entrance, so that she doesn't fall again. Anna, Would you like to leave your number? She took out a piece of paper and wrote a phone number. Slowly extended it to Max. Can I call you tonight? Well, call and see, Anna smiled. Anna went into the hallway. Maybe Max did not see how the girl danced for joy in the entrance. I was very glad to meet such a guy. Young woman did not show, but she liked him at first sight. She ran home in a very good mood. Mother noticed it right away. That will you have lunch? No, Mommy, thank you. I am on a diet. Anna, what kind of diet? Look to myself, only bones. It's not bones. Maybe you bring the skeleton, for you to look. What are bones, daughter? You need to eat at least sometimes something so you will soon turn into a boar. Ma'am, I'm not hungry. Mrs. Pat, always worried about my daughter, eats almost nothing. She considered that girl to be very bad. Here Anna thought differently. She was sure that beauty depends only on thinness. She just couldn't be convinced. To dinner at Anna. The phone rang. Young woman ran headlong towards him. Sat Sophia on the couch. Wayne immediately understood. What is the boyfriend calling? They watched with a smile on their face, like a face Anna changes with every word brought. Young woman then blushed, then turned white. The conversation was very long. After Anna hung up and started going somewhere. Where are you going to go? For a walk with your friends at night? This what is prohibited? No, certainly, go away, just ask. How just slammed the door and Wayne, Mrs. Pat, conversation started. They argued, what does a young man look like, who could slay Anna? Dispute was very loud. Anyway, I'm very happy that she found someone, and then sits at home all day. She has no personal life at all. Completed the dispute Sophia. With these words, Mother quickly ran to the window and saw how Anna got into an expensive car. Machine Village, some guy is driving. Yes, stop watching, I'm already 23 soon, let him have fun, Wayne said, continued look television. Her mother was out of place, she constantly listened to the steps in the stairwell, all the time doing what? Anna, the girls were not all. Anna, Max, let's go to a restaurant. Boy, I served different dishes, constantly looking into her blue eyes. This in the evening Anna kissed Max for the first time. Boy didn't even expect that. Returned Anna already at midnight. She was so funny, and Mom was waiting. I am in the kitchen. Daughter, what is this guy? Why you don't tell me anything? This Max. We met you yesterday. He is so good, to me seems, I start to fall in love. Oops, daughter, the main thing is to be careful, unknown, what's on his mind I know. Ma'am, calm down. Girl went to my room. All night she dreamed of Max, and in the morning she turned out with BDSM with Max, wished her good morning and good day. Himself morning Anna. I was in a good mood, everyone in the kitchen noticed it right away. After studying, the girl met Max again. They somehow quickly all spun, they started dating. 2 months Anna introduced him to her parents. She was very worried, how will this meeting go? She knew, what Max from a wealthy family, it was just embarrassing to bring him into your apartment, which I bought, about what I and it has not been repaired for a long time. However, all fears Anna vanished like smoke. Max turned out to be an ordinary guy, and my mom really liked him. Created time to meet his parents. Young woman was very worried. I'd been asking my mom all day, what should she wear to this meeting? Mother even laughed a few times, see, how Anna running around the house. Young woman was really worried. At 7 p.m. Max went after her, and they went to his house. Young woman was trying to calm down, but nothing came out. Here they are on the threshold of a rich house. Met their mother Maxa cast. Fear gone somewhere. She turned out to be an ordinary woman. How have you been driving for a long time? Come through quicker, father is not there. Young woman put on slippers, given to her by Max's mother. Still the excitement was still there. They sit in a chair, as they heard that Max's father came. Here comes Papa, Max said. Man did not appear in the room for a long time. Young woman really wanted to go to the toilet, and wanted to be in time before. How will his father come to meet? Whispered in Max's ear. I went to follow. They came to the bathroom and already wanted to open the door, as the door opened. Towards they got Michael. Anna, I was just shocked. before her father stood by her, who died many years ago. Young woman was just lost for words. Pin his eyes understood that he did not recognize her at all. Heart the girls beat at a frantic pace. There was only one question in my head. How is it possible really Max his son, thought to myself. Man looked at her with the same eyes, the same way he looked at her as a child. Anna could hardly survive this evening, she was in a hurry to get home. She even insulted Max a little. What happened? You didn't like my parents. Just don't need to go home. Young woman ran home. She really wanted to talk to my mom. Straight away from the threshold she started a conversation. My father is not dead, you everything lied to me, daughter. Where you know everything he and there is the father of Max. Anna burst into tears. She didn't understand what she should do. One side and it was necessary to immediately tell everything about Max and Michael. On the other hand, she was simply afraid of being misunderstood. Young woman shut up in my room. She didn't want to see anyone. In the evening called Max and offered to meet. To him it was unclear why Anna ran away so fast. Young woman agreed. She wanted to tell the whole truth. Max was waiting for her in the same restaurant. Where have they been going lately? Max, I can't hide the truth from you. We can't be together. Is yours father? They are my father. What you say is that our dad left us many years ago and went to another woman. This is your mother's woman, and you are his son. Even if so, then he still can't be my father. He appeared in our house when I was 10 years old. These words were able to calm Anna, and it got a little easier. She breathed a sigh of relief. The problem is less now, but still worried. Why did he leave them? Young woman really wanted to talk to Michael, and Max provided such an opportunity. On the next day they went to the father's office. Michael greeted with a smile on her face. He didn't even imagine what conversation awaits him. Anna decided not to hesitate and started a conversation right from the doorstep. How you could not throw one then? Michael pretended that he doesn't understand. Max, looking at father, understood. What can you get out? A second later the guy was sitting in the lobby. I expected. Anna, he heard, how are they arguing? Anna, I did not want it to happen. Mom and I barely made ends meet. Once upon a time such a big business opened and provided for another family. Anna, I just couldn't find the words. Daughter, sorry, I will never forgive you. It was necessary to fall in love with Max. He turned out to be the one, raise someone instead of me. Anna, we have your mom. Nothing worked. We lived only because of you, but at least I lived and you here. I don't want anything more. Day with Max, I won't date big, not to see your family. Young woman jumped out of the office and ran past Max. Boy, I tried to catch up, but she hid between the houses. She hasn't answered the phone since then, avoiding any communication. She saw how he called her on the phone. I looked at my daughter and was very worried. Girl ate almost nothing, didn't leave the room. Woman already didn't know how I could help. Mrs. Pat, I decided to meet my ex-husband. Turns out, she knew for a long time, where does he live, but I couldn't even imagine what he was. About then Max, she came to meet her husband, and he and his wife. The couple began to quarrel with each other and find out, why did it end like this? However, soon came to the conclusion, what young people need to measure, but here's how to reconcile, no one knew. For half an hour Max himself came to this grandiose meeting. He was very surprised that Anna's parents are here. Boy went into a cafe with huge eyes. He should not have imagined, why are they here? Do you need to reconcile? Michael said. Pope, I know, but only offended she is not at me. Max looked at you on Michael. He is right, reconcile you need to go, unexpectedly for everyone, Michael's wife said. But what am I going to say? You father, you have to tell me something, said Sophie. Not for long thinking, Michael broke off and went to Anna. They talked for a long time in her room, and no one knew what this conversation was about, because nothing could be heard through the door. And soon Anna went to the kitchen and made tea, but not only for myself. Her mother understood that they finally reconciled. Michael left late at night. He was just happy to talk to my daughter. Maybe They agreed on something. On the next, Diana called Max and apologized to him for her behavior. In the evening, a young man invited her to meet near the entrance. Young woman was very surprised. Such a place for a date. Max, and you couldn't choose for our meeting? Not could. I in any other place for my art I would just be taken to jail. Which is more art? Young the man stepped aside. Eyes girls just got out on the forehead. All asphalt. What caught her eye? Hearts were drawn. But there was a big inscription in the center, "You will marry me." Young woman burst into tears. Max knelt before her and held out the ring. Certainly, I agree. I love you so much. Crying girl. Partly Anna's parents. Anna looked out the window behind this picture. Mrs. Pat clung to her husband and also cried. Wayne, I hugged you tightly. At this moment, when Michael left her, she thought that she would never be so happy. But turns out, everything passes. She loves her husband, I even seem, which is stronger, how Michael once upon a time, because then it seemed to her that life is over and nothing will surprise her. But time, this is the best medicine.